Be honest. How many times have you started a new Claude Code session and typed the exact same instructions? We use TypeScript strict mode. Tests are in Vitest, no default exports. Every single session, you are basically training your AI pair programmer from scratch every time you open a terminal. It is like hiring a brilliant developer but wiping their memory at the end of every workday. What if I told you there is a single file, one markdown file, that eliminates this problem entirely? A file that makes Claude actually remember your project, your conventions, your preferences permanently. That file is called CLAUDE.md.din and it changes everything. So what exactly is CLAUDE? At its simplest, it is a markdown file that sits at the root of your project. When Claude Code starts a new session, it reads this file before doing anything else. Think of it as persistent memory for your AI assistant. But it is more than just a config file. It is your project's DNA. Your coding standards, your architecture decisions, your preferred tools, your build commands, all captured in one place. And here is the real power. If you commit it to Git, it becomes a team-wide contract. Every developer who uses Claude Code on your project gets the exact same AI behavior. No more Claude-generated Express code, but we use Hono. No more style inconsistencies across the team. It is a README, but specifically for your AI pair programmer. Now, you might be thinking, do I have to write this file from scratch? Absolutely not. Claude Code has a built-in command that does the heavy lifting for you. Open your terminal, navigate to your project, launch Claude Code, and type /init. That is it. Claude analyzes your project structure. It reads your package JSON, your tsconfig, your linting config, your test setup. It detects your tech stack, your conventions, and then generates a CLAUDE.md tailored to your actual project. Is the generated file perfect? Not always. It is a starting point. You will want to open it up, add your team's specific conventions, remove anything that does not apply, but it gets you 80% of the way there in about 5 seconds. Let me walk you through what a great CLAUDE.md actually looks like. There are 4 sections that matter the most. First, tech stack. Be explicit, not just TypeScript, but TypeScript 5.4, strict mode, no use of the anytype. The more specific you are, the better Claude's output matches your project. Second, this is the section people forget and it costs them. This is the section people forget and it costs them. Claude needs to know how to build your project, how to run a single test, how to lint, spell out the exact commands, include flags. If your test runner needs a specific config path, put it here. Third, code style. This is where you encode your team's opinions. Named exports only, composition over inheritance, ZOD for validation, functional React components, whatever your team has agreed on, write it down. Fourth, architecture. Tell Claude where things live. Feature folders in SRC. Server actions in the actions directory. Shared components in a specific path. Here is where CLAUDE.num gets really elegant. It is not just one file, it is a 3-layer hierarchy. The first layer is your personal file at tilde/.claude//dednd. This is your individual preference file. It applies to every project you work on. Things like, I prefer functional programming style, or always explain your reasoning before writing code. This is your personal developer identity. The second layer is the project level CLAUDE.md at the root of your repo. This is the team file. It gets committed to Git. Tech stack, conventions, build commands, the stuff everyone shares. The third layer is subfolder overrides. You can drop a CLAUDE.nd inside any subdirectory. For example, in your components folder. All components in this folder use CSS modules, not Tailwind. Each layer inherits from the one above and can override it. Personal, project, subfolder. Clean separation of concerns. Let me show you the difference this actually makes. Same prompt, same project. With and without CLAUDE.md, you say add a login endpoint. Claude has no context. It falls back to its training defaults. You get an express route written in JavaScript, default exports, a jest test file, class-based controller pattern. None of it matches your project. You spend 15 minutes rewriting everything or explaining what went wrong. Now the same prompt with CLAUDE.md in place. You say add a login endpoint. Claude reads your memory file. It knows you use Hono, not Express. TypeScript strict, not JavaScript. Drizzle ORM for database queries. Vitest for testing. Named exports. It generates code that matches your project on the first try. No corrections, no back and forth. That is the difference between an AI that guesses and an AI that knows. When you work alone, CLAUDE.md is a productivity boost. When you work on a team, it becomes essential infrastructure. Here is why. You commit CLAUDE.md to your repository. Now every developer on the team gets the same AI behavior. The junior developer who joined last week, they run Claude and immediately get AI behave. The junior developer who joined last week, they run Claude and immediately get AI output that follows your team's path. No, AI wrote it differently on my machine. The project level file is the team contract, but each developer still keeps their personal layer at home. One person likes verbose explanations. Another wants code first, questions later. Personal preferences never conflict with team standards. And for security-conscious teams, the .claude/settings.json file controls exactly which tools Claude is allowed to use on your project. Commit that too. As your project grows, your CLDE.namd can get unwieldy. This is where dynamic imports come in. Instead of stuffing everything into one massive file, you use the @import directive to pull in other markdown files. Your architecture docs, your API style guide, your database schema notes, each stays in its own file, and CLAUDE.namd just references them. This gives you two big wins. First, your CSD.md is scannable. It is a table of contents, not an encyclopedia. Second, you get a single source of truth. Your architecture doc serves both human developers reading it on GitHub and Claude reading it during a session. One file, two audiences, zero duplication. If your team already maintains good documentation, you are halfway there. Just import what you already have. I have seen a lot of CLDE.md files at this point, and these are the 5 mistakes that come up again and again. Mistake 1. Writing a novel. Claude reads the entire file every session. If it is 1,000 lines of rambling prose, you are wasting context window and confusing the model. Keep it under 500 lines. Be concise. Use bullet points. Mistake 2. Vague instructions. Write good code is meaningless. Use Zod for all input validation at API boundaries. That is actionable. Mistake 3. Duplicating your README. Say a good en.nan.dat and that project documentation. It is AI behavior configuration. Different audience, different content. Mistake 4. Forgetting build commands. Claude cannot test its own code if it does not know how to run your test suite. Mistake 5. Never updating it. Your project evolves. You switch from Jest to Vitest. You adopt a new ORM. You change your folder structure. Update the file. It takes 30 seconds. There are 2 fast ways to keep your CLAUDE and up to date, and both are built right into Claude Code. The first is the /memory command. Type it and Claude opens your CLAUDE.namd directly in your editor. Make your edits, save, done. Quick and manual. The second way is even easier. During a normal conversation, just tell Claude in natural language, remember that we switched from Jest to Vitest last week. Claude updates the CLAUDE.md file on its own. You do not even have to open it. This means your memory file is a living document. It grows as your project grows. Every insight Claude picks up during a session can become permanent knowledge. You're building compound intelligence session after session. Let me bring this all together. Every instruction you write in CLAUDE.md is an instruction you never have to write again. That is the core idea. You are not just configuring a tool. You are building persistent, compounding context for an AI that works on your code base every day. The more you invest in this file, the less time you spend correcting, re-explaining, and rewriting AI output. Stop repeating yourself. Start compounding your knowledge. One file, permanent context, an AI that actually understands your code, not in the abstract, your code, your conventions, your project. Here is your homework. Right now, open your terminal, navigate to your most active project, launch Claude Code, and type /init. Read the generated file, tune it, add your build commands, your code style rules, your architecture notes, commit it, then come back here and drop your best CLUD.md tip in the comments. I genuinely want to see what conventions your team is encoding. If this was helpful, hit subscribe. I am doing a full deep dive series on Claude Code. There is a lot more to cover. See you in the next one.